Now it's fair to say this MP20 range from Mizuno looks absolutely stunning on the eye, and we already know that nothing feels like a Mizuno. But the question is this style of a substance? How do they perform in the hands of the average golfer? The only way to find that out, get that camera move, hit some golf balls. I'm going to put all three head to head, and I'll give you my overall opinion on these great looking irons for these from Mizuno. There's already been plenty of pictures that have floated around the internet. Really since the Open I first seen these pictures released from this MP20 range, so there's no secrets there, but I'll throw plenty of images up for you now to take a look and start to form your own opinions. And effectively we've got three models. We've got the MP20, I think you've got to call that a pure blade, is where it starts from. It then goes into the MMC, which has got a bit of tungsten weight in there. It's still a fairly small and compact head and profile. And then we've got this HMB model, slightly more bulk, bit thicker top line. I've got to say, in terms of looks, they all look pretty good. I'm more of a fan of the cleaner lines from the MP20 and the MP20 HMB, but very much down to a personal preference. But if we're talking about looks, first of all, I mean, I always say that I'm a sucker for a bit of chrome, and there's plenty of there in there, plenty of chrome in there. The MP20 pure blade is absolutely stunning. It reminds me a lot of a club I used to play a few years back, which is the MP5s. And at the other end, I'm a massive fan of this HMB, which is new to the range. Like I said, bit of bulk, a bit of mass, all forged clubs, all perhaps aimed at a different golfer, and we'll find out what those differences are when we start to test. First of all, comments down below. On views alone, in terms of how these things look, which one would you be going for? Right, so we're going to start things off. We're going to hit some range balls, and I'll tell you a little bit about how they look at address. And we'll start off, I think, with the smaller profile, this MP20, the one I would call pretty much a pure blade. I think, like I said in the intro, stunning on the eye in terms of what you see on the shelf. As soon as you put it down at address, it is that thinner top line, and it's everything you'd expect from a blade. I ain't going to bore you with any details of that, because that's exactly what it looks like. Nothing new, nothing different there as far as I'm concerned, or what I'm looking at right now. Interesting point of loft. This is more traditional. It's 34 degrees, so again, what you'd expect from a traditional blade. The other two irons that we're going to be looking at are stronger lofted at 32 degrees. So again, not mega strong in the grand scheme of things about what's happening right now, but 34, 32, so we're obviously going to see a difference in numbers. Like I said, it's a very clean looking club, minimal offset as you would expect. I often wish I could hit this good out there on the golf course, because that's a great start. Straight away, first noticeable thing and first ball in, so we'll see what happens in the end in terms of outcome. You can see the weaker loft, a little bit out the bottom groove there. Certainly didn't find a sweet spot with that one. What I noticed from the first ball in particular was the fact that ball flight was relative to that 34 degrees worth of loft. Interesting question, as I'm only 2 shots in, but the first thing that springs to mind is how many players are actually looking to play this type of club nowadays. I'd be interested to see Mizuno's own sales figures on what they expect from the sale of the blade as opposed to the HMB and the MMC. Because to me, the first thing I'm thinking, and that's only a couple of balls in, but let me, that's a super feeling club. Only using range balls at this stage, and we'll get all the data collected with the seed golf ball. I'm already looking down on this club and thinking, I can't wait to get to HMB, really, based on the fact that the question I was going to ask was, you know, how many of you would seriously consider using this club? And I say this club, a blade-like club. I don't think, I haven't got a great deal to say about that, if I'm perfectly honest with you. It's a superb looking club. It's got great feel at this stage just off of a range ball, and I'll update you on that later. It's a blade. It's a nothing feels like a Mizuno blade. It looks stunning. Performance is going to be, I reckon, 150 odd 7-iron. So for me, nothing new there. I'm going to switch it up quite quickly because I'm more interested in, if I'm being perfectly honest, in this MMC and HMB. So let's get switched straight over and get into this MMC club and see what's happening with a little bit of tungsten weight to help me out a little bit. Right, so over to the MMC and a couple of images up on top for you now. And again, for me, not too dissimilar from the previous model in terms of looks. Personal opinion, it's an okay looking club. I don't think it's moved on a great deal. In terms of the tungsten weighting, something we see from a lot of clubs in terms of giving positioning CG, slightly different again in each iron to assist with what you want to do, what you want to achieve from the certain club. And again, that's what Mizuno have done here. At address, it's still a relatively thin top line. The overall profile to me just looks that little bit larger overall. And like I said, from that top line, a little bit thicker than what we've seen, and perhaps just a little tad more offset. I mean, first ball in, but totally different sound off of that. And like I said, we're only using range balls at this stage, so I'll update you at the end in terms of the feel of all three when we get some proper golf balls down. Get some decent balls, and again, once again, don't forget this now goes to that stronger loft of 32 degrees, but ball flight is very similar to what we've just seen from that 34 degree lofted club. And once again, that stronger loft is often a lot to do to counterbalance what we're doing in terms of CG and the tungsten weighting. Immediate thoughts, again, if you've got the previous model, and only from memory because I've not hit those, I'm not seeing anything that jumps out at me that says this is massively different from the previous MMC model. So at this stage, we don't want to finish off with that one because that was off the bottom. At this stage, 2 clubs in, I'm sitting on the fence a little bit. I'm sitting on the fence because you know my reviews always try and be as honest as possible. There's nothing wrong with either of the clubs we've tried so far, but there's nothing jumping out at me either. And I want to say that I'm bearing in mind MP18. There's nothing that's jumping out at me compared to MP18 models. But we've got one to go. So let's switch over to the new kid on the block really, which is this HMB. Okay, onto this HMB. And for me, this is, it's like the MP20 blade on steroids. It's just that little bit more pumped up all around. So it looks very, very similar. The minimalistic effort in terms of any markings on the back, I think, look absolutely, it's so clean. It is stunning to look at. Slightly wider sole, and top line is considerably bigger based on where we've come from the MP20 blade, but still very manageable, I think. But it's really the first differential between the 3 clubs really is that top line, and for some people that won't appeal. Like I said, it is visibly bigger overall, but I think as a golf club it looks like a traditional blade with a bit of muscle back in it. It's stunning from the back. Maybe just that little bit of a thick top line might be slightly off-putting for the more traditionalists who are looking for that blade type from Mizuno. Oh. Okay, first ball, so let's not say too much. But the first thing interesting to me is, again, how clubs differ in terms of ball flight. Same shaft in all 3 of these irons that I've hit. Right, we've got a change of opinion here. So we've started off with 2 mediocre responses. I'm now reaching for a ball because I'm eager to hit this thing again. We've got something different going on. Right, ball flight is, it's the highest ball flight, but it seems it's a strong, powerful ball flight. And again, The last two clubs, so I've just moved from the MMC at 32 and this at 32, and again different ball flights altogether. Let's just hit another ball. Oh my word. This is a different animal altogether. Right, I'm pausing a bit because I'm trying to work out how to phrase this. In fact, what I might do is shut up for a minute, hit some more balls, get over to the seed golf ball and collect some data. But my immediate feedback is, wow, this is so different in terms of performance, but also in terms of, and I can't shut up because I want to keep hitting balls here with this. I've hit 4 balls there, I think it was 4. All have gone in a pretty decent region in terms of dispersion. Ball flight strong and powerful. Feeling only off range balls at this stage was superb. And the ball just literally zips out of there. The first question I'm asking is, out of 3, I'm like all over this straight away. But let me go and collect some data. Let's have a sit down, let's analyse the data, see where the differences are, at least in terms of numbers, and I'll give you a more considered evaluation, because I'm a little bit excited at the minute. Oh my word. I don't need to do an evaluation. That is one of the best irons I've tried in a long time. Seriously. Now sometimes reviews don't need to be complicated. I like to keep them as simple as possible. Tech spec, forget it. Forget everything. It's all gone out the window, because all I'm going to talk about very, very briefly is the performance of these 3 clubs. Before I get into the data, let me talk about feel, because obviously we moved into a proper golf ball to collect the data. I always struggle with acoustics inside. I would prefer to play the clubs outside to get to give you a better opinion on how they feel. But again, superb from all 3, to be perfectly honest with you. The buttery soft feel definitely comes down from the blade type again, but that's when you're really sort of puring one out the middle. But for me, the HMB again offered really good feel and acoustics from what I was getting off, at least in here so far, but would certainly put them right up there in terms of what they've achieved. Let's get into the data, but first of all, maybe I'll put in the dispersion. You can see there the shortest ball and perhaps the widest spread in terms of dispersion came from the blade type, and again, my ability at my level to find the centre of the club wasn't quite as good, and I sprayed it around a little bit and we did drop off in yardages, which we'll get to very, very shortly. The other 2, not a lot to split them, to be quite honest with you. As you would expect from my performance, there's a few that are all over the show, but in overall, more than happy with the performance in terms of dispersion, front to back and also left to right. Right, into numbers. Let's put up on screen first of all. Let's start with that MP20 blade. That's the one that's 34 degrees, and obviously we're going to expect the shorter yardages is one thing we're going to look at. But here they are in front of you now. Okay, so ball speed 114 on average. Spinning, as you'd expect, 6940, very, very good spin number. 156 overall carry distance, and again very, very consistent in those carry distances. Peak height 96 and lang angle 48. As I said in the review, really, I don't think in the numbers nor what I seen out there, nothing different than what I was expecting. So for me, the MP20 superb club, and for what it is, brilliant. But did I see anything that's really different from what I've seen before in the MP18 range? No, and I didn't see that in the numbers either. On to now the MMC, and again here's the numbers for the MMC. So you see a massive jump up in ball speed is the first noticeable difference. Again, going back to that stronger loft, but 120, almost 121 ball speed. Spinning at 6250. So again, great spin number for this kind of loft. 168 carry, launching at 17.3, 97 peak height and 48 in terms of, so again, Interesting in terms of peak height and descent angle, very similar to that of the 32-degree lofted iron, and that's again an argument that we keep on having, but similarities even though stronger lofted. And a performance yet again for a stronger lofted, although it's done particularly well in and around 168 yardage, spinning really well. I think it's ticking every box that you'd look for, and the MMC for me, the only thing I would say perhaps didn't tick a box in terms of looks. On to the final one, which, like I said, I was a bit taken aback with in terms of when I was hitting the ball first off, in terms of initial impressions. Here's the numbers on the HMB. Okay, so first of all, that ball speed, and take this from, let's go back to the first one really, the blade, which is 114 ball speed, went out to 122.5 ball speed, 6.3 spin, and for this loft, that spin's incredible, 171 carry, 17.4 is the launch angle, 101 peak height and 48 in terms of a descent angle. And again, what I like to see there is I did mention when I started hitting the balls out there that this was by far the ball flight that was certainly going highest. It seemed to be really going up there into the sky without being a weak ball flight, and getting out there at 170 and not being affected by that spin. That spinning is still at 6.3. I think for me, like I said, ticks every single box. You couple that with the fantastic feel that they've got, that with how good they look, and these are all personal things now in terms of looks and feel, but for me, I cannot criticise that HMB at all. I'll tell you what I'd say, it's not a criticism for me personally, but I think what some people might struggle with is the thicker top line and the bulk and mass of it. That is the only thing. Other than that, I cannot see why anybody who tries that club would not want to stick it in a bag straight away. I'll give you another but. I'm being told that these clubs are going to retail in and around the HMB. The RRP is £180 a club, £180 an iron. And again, that's a separate debate. I've done reviews in the last week or so where saying these clubs aren't relative to average golfers, so you shouldn't be reviewing them. Well, we've got another one here because this is now irons in at 180 from Mizuno. So, but like I said, that's a separate video. But that's another potential thing that is going to obviously put people off, is the price. But in terms of a club, just monitoring on its performance alone, out of the three for me, I don't know anybody, unless you're a traditionalist and you want the traditional lofts and you want traditional looks in terms of at address, I can't see how you would choose the MP20 straightforward blade over the HMB, because for me, the HMB is just giving you everything that a golfer would ask for. I can't give it any more higher praise than that, so I'm going to shut up. That'll do. That's the review done, innit? I have got no more to say. The only bit I will say is thank you for watching. Hit the like button, comments down below, just tell me what you think, tell me what you think of how they look, what my opinion is of that HMB. Perhaps on that price thing, I know that a few people have something to say about that as well, because it is creeping up again on these irons. Other than that, have a good day, and I'm going to carry on it in that HMB for a little bit longer because I enjoyed every minute of that, and I'll see you soon.